Hi, I'm Bran, and I love The Way Home.
I'm Ryan, and I like The Way Home.
I'm Dan, and I despise The Way Home, and this is the
Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host this podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Oh my gosh,
boy!
I got to be honest with you guys. We're this is Wednesday. The last couple days, it's been hard to even care about what we were covering because all I've been thinking about
it's been easy to care about life and everything. It's
sure,
been hard.
My life is great. I love my wife. I love my kids.
Of course.
But when it comes to reviewing the movies that we've been reviewing,
The Way Home's taken.
all I've been thinking about is The Way Home, and how I've been waiting for this day. I've been waiting to talk to my buddies about it.
We had people I had people tweet me on Sunday night, and guys, please
Don't do it.
I don't watch this till Monday morning.
It's sacred.
So don't. They tried to spoil it. I started reading it. I saw a name and I stopped reading it, and I was like, no, not going to read any further, and so I stopped. But it's a big deal. It's catching on like wildfire. The Way Home is.
This is big. Ryan, how have you been coping?
I've decided to abandon all modern technology and microphones in support of The Way Home. I'm just like I just want to talk to people in the truest sense of the word. You know,
That's right.
But no, it's I'm getting anxious at the end of every episode. I don't want the coming attractions to spoil the week ahead. Like I'm trying to avoid spoilers in every way, shape, or form on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Ryan, did you pick a Sabrina the Teenage Witch shirt today? If you're watching on Philo TV, again, we keep giving you
There's
reasons.
great channels and DVR features on Philo, but also you can see Ryan in a Sabrina the Teenage Witch shirt.
Philo.tv/DTH.
You're welcome, Philo. Yeah.
What's going on there? Was this a purposeful?
Well, I think there's only going to be so many shirt connects I can make, but the White Witch, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I feel like, we can make some crossover there. There's a magic infused enough show, So
Can you imagine if in the finale we see the identity of the White Witch and it is Melissa Joan Hart?
Yeah.
I won't. This is what the whole episode. I'll just be like, I won't be able to even talk. I won't be able to speak. But you know what? She's a Lifetime girl. You can't get Melissa Joan Hart.
You can't do it.
She's a Lifetime faithful. I don't think we can do that.
Yeah.
I don't think we can do that. No. But I wouldn't be opposed to trying. That's all I'm trying to say. Let's talk about it. Let's stop wasting time. I've been waiting long enough. The Way Home, season 1, episode Silks.
What?
I've heard about
Silk. Episode, you've heard it said Silk before?
Yeah.
Season 1, episode Silk, called Building a Mystery. Is that a song?
It is a song.
Building a mystery.
I think that's a Sarah McLachlan song, is it not?
Gonna build a big old mystery.
In the eyes of a mystery.
It actually is a Sarah McLachlan song.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Well
Building
done.
A mystery. Yes.
February the 26th is when it premiered, and it went a little something like this. The episode kicks off with Kat looking at old newspapers and other archives, because it's the newspaper and archives.
And archives, yes.
And trying to figure out more about her missing brother. She's trying to figure out what in the world happened. Alice is back in 99 hanging out with Nick. She's sad because Nick didn't show up at the movie theater in 2023, so she's mad at him in 99.
What a
so
loser.
That happened in 2023, and obviously that confuses Nick. So standard high school relationship. Dell gets a call that the fall carnival is coming back, which means it's going to be a lot of feelings about this, because that was the last place that Jacob was seen. Apparently, they haven't had the carnival since 1999.
Shut it down.
That's it.
Shut it down. Don't even talk about it. Elliot is mad at Kat.
Has any kid gone missing since then? No, I didn't think so.
Not that we know of. Not that we know of. Elliot is mad at Kat about her kissing big ones with Brady last episode. Don't forget about that. I know a lot of people are probably like, but what about remember the cow giving birth? Remember that? Is that going to come back again? And everybody's been wondering about that cow. Whatever happened to the vet? The veteran,
Oh, wow.
the veterinarian.
Veterinarian, not the veteran.
Doctor?
Doctor, the doctor. That's exactly right. The good doctor.
You know, the fact we get any emails about that makes me really, really like we are correct.
Yeah.
My wife's in the medical field, and I said, if you were a veterinarian, would you ever just say I'm a doctor to someone? And she said unequivocally, no, you would not say that.
Can't do that.
You can't do
Can't do that. Maybe he realized that and he went
it.
away forever. Moved. Oh, there it is. She's like, all I want to do right now, Elliot, is I just want to save Jacob. I need your help to do that. Let's just stop talking about Brady. There's a lot of unknowns. Why was his bike at the carnival? If him and Kat were dropped off. Wow, what's the deal with the White Witch? What's the real deal with the airlines? She tells Elliot that she's going back to the day that all of this happened and is going to try to stop it. And he's like, how do you expect to know what the day is going to be that you're going to go back to? And she's like, the pond wants me to know. So going back, we talk about, you mentioned Danny. So Kat starts to believe that Jacob's best friend Danny is hiding.
Adopted?
No,
Okay.
that's a different season of this show. That Danny is hiding something. So she goes to talk to him, and Dell tags along. She's like, "You don't be mean to sweet Danny." We find out Danny finally tells the truth. He's lied multiple times, ultimately because his parents didn't want him to go to the carnival. He wasn't allowed to go to the carnival. He snuck out, went to the carnival, and so as he was being questioned in the past, was trying to not be in trouble with his parents, but then his parents found out it was a whole thing. That's why his story changed. But ultimately, here's what happened. A truth that I don't think has ever been told before, that he was the last person to see Jacob alive.
So we think.
Yeah. Danny sneaks out, gets to the carnival, steals Jacob's stuffed animal that he just won. They start fighting back and forth, having fun time as kids. He runs over to a cliff that's close by, as all good carnivals are, and he throws the stuffed animal over the cliff.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm starting to think that Danny's a bully. But Jacob's like, what gives, man? That whomps. And he's like, if you want it, just go get it. He's like, okay, I'm going to go get it. And Danny, not thinking that he will go get it, double dog dares him.
That's right.
And so then Danny runs away at that point.
Danny's weird.
Danny's a weird guy. Danny's a weird guy.
He's weird.
And
I'm going to take your bear. I'm going to chuck it. I'm going to dare you to go get it. And then I'm
going to leave.
I'm going to deuce out early.
So he deuces out early. And he's like, if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have got. So basically, he thinks that Danny fell over the side of the cliff.
Yeah, of course.
Okay? So now we're armed with that bit of information. Kat's like, okay, I can go save the day.
Yeah.
Now, Alice is back in 99 and realizes that the carnival it's
coming sooner than we thought. It jumped a month. She didn't realize it.
So Kat is going. Alice
is going back. Because she told Elliot. Don't not take your eyes off of Jacob.
That's exactly right.
Adopted. And so then she goes back and a present day Elliot is like, they left us behind. I lost Jacob. You got to get back there.
Get back.
Back to the future. Yeah.
So it is carnival day, and Kat goes to the carnival. Adult Kat goes. She's back in 99. It's carnival day 99. Goes to the carnival, sees Jacob, watches all this transpires, watches the Ferris wheel as it comes back, finally sees what happened to her brother, because that's where she lost him originally when she was a kid in 99. So she starts following him, goes through a haunted house, as you do. Finally, it occurs to her, maybe I should go to the cliff. So she goes to the cliff, looks over, sees stuffed animal, but no sign of Jacob. And she's like, I'm too late. Looks behind her and sees Jacob walking into the woods, and she's like, "Hey, who? I'm Alice's mom. You know Alice. I'm Alice's mom. Not a lie. And so he's like, okay, cool. I just want to go home. And she's like, well, how about I take you to your parents and they could take you home? He's like, I don't want to deal with that. I just want to go home.
I'm 8.
I'm
6.
8.
I'm whatever.
I'm mad about my stuffed animal. Danny threw it in the water and left.
That's right.
Deuced that early. I just want to go home.
That's
and
right.
She's like, well, let me walk with you. So she walks her brother home. We then see Danny go inside of his house. She's like, boom, baby.
We did it.
Did it. Danny got home safely. Runs back home into the water.
That's right.
Goes back to her house. Starts yelling, Danny, Danny. No Danny's calling back. Danny boy. And Danny's not there. So then she opens up the book of death. What's up, Rye?
Jacob.
What am I saying?
We keep saying Danny.
Son of a gun, guys. I'm sorry. Danny. No, Danny deuced out early. She drops Jacob off at home. Jacob walks inside. She gets picked into the pond. She goes back to her house in 2023. Looks to see Jacob. Are you there? Jacob's not answering. Opens up the book of death. His death date is still plain as day in the death day. She's like, dadgummit, I thought I was going to save Jacob. Didn't
work.
Save Jacob. And so she's sitting there. She's talking to Elliot. She's really sad. Alice
shows up.
Alice shows up. And Alice, she also went through the haunted house because she's trying to also save things. And she, for a split second, thinks that she sees her mom in a mirror. She comes back, and Kat is like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't save Jacob. I couldn't even save Danny. And she's like, one of them. She's like, wait, that was you? And she's like, yeah. And that really upsets her. And so she runs back into the woods, as you do.
Yeah.
And that, my friends, was The Way Home, Season 1, Episode 6, Building a Mystery.
We did it.
It's good. It's worth it for you to do it, I think. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to break this episode down. We're going to talk all about Danny Jacob and so much more here on Deck the Hallmark. We're back. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about The Way Home, Season 1, Episode 6. Officially over halfway there. We're heading into the home stretch.
Final four.
The Final Four. March Madness. Final Four. Let's do this. Let's break it down. Let's start with a hot take, and I'm going to start with my friend Ryan. Ryan, what'd you think about this episode?
I was saying to Dan before we came on, I like this felt like a season finale.
That's
like
right.
This easily, like legitimately, no hyperbole, could have been the season finale of the show. I think it's interesting. I enjoyed the episode a lot. It was at a 10 the whole way through. It was at a strong 10, 2/3 of the way through. It never let off that pace. I think it's going to be interesting that we have to try to maintain this, not necessarily the pace, but this in the sense of being a season finale. We are now having to go from here, and there's 4 episodes left. There's a whole March Madness left to approach. I thought it all worked. I was really engaged with everything. The fun house moment that you mentioned, the bicycle moment where Kat realized that it was her bike and she had seen it in the archives. All that stuff was great. Might have been a little melodramatic, but that's okay. It's Hallmark. To quote Graham Gray, damn, that's good TV.
Did you just quote me?
Yeah, I did.
Mom, I would never say that.
Man, that's good TV.
Woo!
Yeah.
Guys, the tension in this episode. I wasn't even able to write down good notes clearly. I was so freaking wrapped up. The tension in this episode was palpable. You could feel it. Like right from the beginning, you're like, this episode's freaking doing stuff, man. We're going places. We're doing stuff. Shout out to Danny. I actually thought Danny Dan, I think you disagree, but I like Danny, and I thought it was a solid performance.
When you say it like that, it makes me sound.
Well, just admit that you hate the actor and everything he's ever done. But I thought that Danny was solid. And listen, there was a lot of things that they could have done in this episode, and Danny walking in. I'm sorry, I'll do it again. Jacob walking inside of his house was not one of the things that I expected. I didn't expect that to be the way that it is. So like kudos to Hallmark, kudos to the team.
Danny.
kudos to Danny. I think Danny had a lot to do with this. So yeah,
We have said Danny far more than any other podcast covering the way home. I can promise you that.
Or
that's
the
Dan-
episode itself, perhaps.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's Danny
That's
for you.
Danny for you.
He's adopted.
Yeah.
I love it. I just love this show. I think it's one of it. I said it after we were done watching. It's my favorite thing that we watch every week for this show. But also one of my favorite things that I'm watching just in general. I just love this program. I'm so excited and intrigued to see what they do next. 4 episodes, so much to wrap up, so much to not even talking about the White Witch to bring it in. We're not even touching base here. That I'm fairly certain that Del is a White Witch. Del knows about time travel. So much to touch on in the next 4 weeks. I cannot wait. And I got to be honest, poor Ride doesn't stand a chance. That show, there's no way the next show is going to be as good as this show, right?
No.
So we're just going to poo-poo all over it. It doesn't stand a chance.
No way.
So that's unfortunate. This show is fantastic. It's consistently blowing me away. I just love it. Dan?
Did you think he said rye?
I did too. Yeah. I was like, oh man, I thought I really brought.
What'd I say?
Ryan was like, you said ride, and he thought you said rye. Like you were like,
no, yeah,
got bad news for you, Rye. Don't stand a chance.
No, Ride, the television show that Ryan is joining us to review, by the way. I don't know if we didn't announce that, but
that's right.
We're going to roll right into Ride. We're going to ride right into it.
Hashtag Ride with Ride.
Yeah, we're going to ride. We're going to watch Ride with Ride.
Ride. Yeah, you got it.
It's actually you just reviewing it by
We're
yourself.
just going to stand and watch.
On a horse.
On a horse, believe it or not. Yeah.
That can fly.
So here's the thing. It's been very important to me that they stay consistent with this kind of conceit that they've come up with. And so far they have, which is
by that, do you mean like the rules of time travel?
And the fact that they don't know exactly when they're going back when they go back, but when they go back, they cannot change anything. Cannot change it. So the only way Jacob can be alive is if he's alive in present day, because he jumped forward, which we're not even sure you're allowed to do in this whole pond situation, or he jumped backwards and lived his life the whole way. Those are the only 2 ways Jacob can still be alive in present day.
Unless he's like in the attic somewhere.
Yeah. Hey,
have we checked the attic?
There. So I was very.
It's Arrested Development on a situation. He's in the wall.
He's right, pop in the attic. And so I was very worried that they were going to have her go back in time and either A, save him, or B, cause his disappearance. And if they had done either of those 2 things, if Kat had saved him or caused his disappearance, I was going to have some legit issues. But you know what? They didn't do it. Not only that, but they end the episode in a way that you're just kind of, it takes your breath away. They did a really good job. Every time you think they're going to zig, they zag. And not only that, I've said this, but the reverse of it about When Calls the Heart, which is good television has plot holes in it. It's not that good television doesn't have plot holes. It's that we're so incredibly immersed in the story and the character that we don't care. Why would a grown woman save her brother and not make sure his family is home? I did not think that until well after the episode was done. While I was watching, I wasn't going, stay there until they get there. Stay there until they get there. I wasn't doing it because it was good television. I was immersed in the story. I cared about the characters. I didn't know what was going to happen next. And so this show is doing a great job of allowing us to care about the characters. This episode was an absolute thrill ride. And I really, really enjoyed it. My favorite one so far, no questions asked.
So I'm looking at the comments of Brainwave Jam Plus. A subscriber says they're able to watch it. Was Brady's car there? So Brady's
car can be there without him being there. They
drove.
But that doesn't mean that they're there, because his car is there does not mean that they're there.
I agree with Dan. Yeah,
that means nothing. A car parked in a driveway means nothing. There's more than one car.
Sorry, Dan. Did we also physically?
Wait, what are you saying? Where do you think he is?
What I'm saying
Where do you
is
think that Brady?
They could literally be with anywhere.
They could be looking for Jacob elsewhere.
That's right. Jacob's not found. They parked the cars. What's the big deal? I don't know how that changes anything.
I will say
it changes maybe why she wouldn't walk in with her. with
Right.
him. Is that what they're saying?
Yes.
I-
but my thought is, did we I don't remember. Did we physically see Jacob walk through the front door?
We
and
see
then
him
do.
walk through the door and close it.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, but
Yeah.
they don't have to be inside. I mean, they don't have to. I mean,
The
just because
parents,
they're-
did the parents tell them to go home
But
and
I mean,
wait for him?
I don't. Yeah, they told him to, but you know that they don't listen. Like,
Sure.
Cat's out there looking, and Cat. The problem with that is that Cat is dropping him off. If Cat would remember anything from her teenage years, it's whether or not she's home then, right? Like
Right.
that night, she was not home. She was out looking, and she would know where Brady was too. I feel like a car outside the front door doesn't change that to me. I like, maybe it's just me, but like, in my opinion, until you see that boy with his parents, you don't move. You don't move anywhere.
And to the point of people saying, wouldn't Kat remember that she was inside when he walked through? Kat didn't remember Alice for 20 years, so memory's
Correct.
weird. Like,
But also,
I just,
it's evident,
Well,
she's
especially
not-
with trauma.
yeah,
exactly. And I think that's the one thing that I love about this show is that even if we find out, and this is a very big like Lost level spoiler if this were to be the case, even if we find out that the pond exists just to help you realize it doesn't matter what you do, you have to move on and get over grief. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if the pond exists just so you can think it's a superpower and it turns out that you can live in those memories all you want, but you have to move forward. As long as we're consistent with that, I'm fine with that. Like, that works for me as long as and they were consistent with that in this episode. And so I'm really happy that they were, and we can continue to move forward, because I would be really worried if for some reason we had some crazy thing happen where we change the timeline. We can't change the timeline. That's important to me. And there's a lot you can do without changing it. They've established you can't change the timeline. Elliot says it every freaking episode. So we can't change the timeline. That's important. And they did a good job of that. This was great. This was great television.
Let's get to the feels. Ryan, any specific feels for you of any sort?
well, not Dan has me thinking about Lost season 6, but that's its own pod. I did.
I love
this.
Lost season 6, by
Me
the
too.
way. It's
Me
a
too.
very hot take. Ryan and I are going to start a fan pod for just Lost season 6, which no one likes. But,
I didn't dislike it.
oh, okay. So all three of great.
Let's
We did
fly
it.
Kind of a
sideways.
boring
Let's do
podcast.
it.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
So I do just want, Brand, you mentioned it in the recap. I did love the moment where Alice is mad at 99 Nick for something that didn't happen 20
Oh my
years
gosh,
later.
so
That's-
ridiculous.
I mean, but it's also just really smart writing. But then my actual feels, I thought Kat, who in real life thinks I'm a wrestler, I thought her performance walking Jacob home was excellent. Like at one point she goes to wants to give him a hug, but she doesn't understand the rules, so she doesn't give him a hug because she doesn't like she's hearing Elliot, even though she's disobeying what Elliot's saying, but she realizes that she can't ruin the world. I thought that that was such a great twist. I really, really loved that. And that moment where, again, she just had to stop herself from being like, man, hopefully everything's about to change, but I may never see this kid again. Just really smart, layered stuff. It really hit for me.
I just think, like, it's an overall feel of this episode in particular. This episode, while I was watching it, felt as if there was someone playing music in the background that was just slowly over time going up the
Swelling.
piano. It's just slowly building tension by slowly going up. And it wasn't happening, but it felt like it. You felt like this episode was just constantly building in tension. And I just thought overall it was just fantastic. Like it was such a overwhelming feeling of what's going to happen that that doesn't happen with every episode of your favorite television shows. And so when like this show does it in this episode, you're like, this is so good. I'm just like, so I just kudos to the storytelling and the director and everybody that was involved in creating is to give us that feeling of tension, because they did a knockout job.
Yeah, I think that's because I think for the first time, maybe since the pilot, everyone's kind of working in tandem together.
Yeah.
They're all working together. And so I I don't have like a very specific standout feels, but I do think Kyler Lee's performance when she gets to talk to Jacob is the moment of this episode, because
She's so good.
You have to convey so many feels at one time. Yeah, she's the star of this show, in my opinion. Andie MacDowell is the venerable, great Andie MacDowell, but she doesn't get nearly as much to do as Kyler Lee does. And Kyler Lee is just
but Andie MacDowell going over and comforting Danny, the actual Danny in this case,
great.
like was a
Great scene.
So good.
Yeah. This is good stuff, guys. It's good stuff.
It's good TV.
Good TV.
Great TV, everybody.
Man, it's good TV.
We're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back. Guys, just shove all the way off.
Way home.
Oh, I hate you all. Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back. We're talking about The Way Home. It's time for the Wait What's Ryan.
I have a few. Now, I understand that it's a small town and that everybody knows everybody.
Yep.
But a newspaper headline probably shouldn't read, quote, "Who took Jacob?" End quote. Like it's a little sensational for my taste.
A little, man. They're gonna get the Hearst Pulitzer. That's gonna be like who took Jacob? We don't know if anybody took Jacob. We don't know if anybody did it. Did you? The next one, the next headline is: Did you take Jacob? Did you take Jacob?
Keeping with bad journalism, Kyler Lee is 100% a standout, but her character in this week's edition of Wants to Let You Know She's a Journalist.
Yeah.
Elliot tells Kat that she cannot save Jacob in 99, to which her exact quote retort is, "I'm a journalist. I can do this." And then later she goes in at Andie MacDowell because Andie MacDowell was like, "You got to be sensitive," and she's like, "What do you think journalists do? Listen, as someone who used to be a journalist, maybe technically still a broadcast one, like we don't have to defend ourselves this frequently."
I love how this one guy. There's one person who's been living this for the entirety of the timeline. From 1999 to 2023, there's one person who knows for 24 straight years that time travel is possible. And as far as we know, has never used it, one. And two, keeps telling people like he's just beating his head against a wall that you can't change the timeline. And they're like, "What do you know?
Yes.
What do you know? Have you talked to a journalist before?" I don't think so. It's unbelievable.
Have you ever talked to somebody who has access to the archives? It's not just newspaper up in this joint,
man.
Got the full archives.
Dan, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The one counterpoint, this is my other one, is that the only thing I would say in contrast to your point is that Elliot has seen all of this stuff. I could just maybe use a little bit from present day Elliot. Just the idea. Kat's like, "Well, why can't I save him?" It's like, Elliot, to be fair, since the Clinton administration, you've seen people time traveling. Maybe some of these things are possible. Like, maybe a little give and take. But that's my list. It was an amazing episode, but those had me scratching my head.
I have two things. The man who has known about time travel since 99 appears to be showing up to Dell's house every morning for free coffee.
Yeah, every day.
Is he just in it?
Episode.
Is he just in it for the free coffee? Man, this guy's just there getting free coffee.
And that place isn't
buy your own coffee, Elliot. You're a grown up. This episode ends with a big question thrown out there by our friend Alice. Alice finds out that her mom has been time traveling, and she says, "How long have you been lying to me?" And then runs away. To which I would just say, can I ask you a question? Can I say something to you? Not as long as you've been lying to me.
Got him.
You, Alice, have been lying to me longer. Longer. So maybe shove off just to get all the way off my back for just a minute, because you've been lying longer.
That's right.
If it's a competition of lying, I understand this is news to you, Alice, but
But also, you've been doing it longer than me.
You
That's right.
should
It's a longer life.
You know. Dan?
Yeah, I do love, should have been my feels. I do love the idea of Hallmark trying to do a haunted house because it's just spiders and hands. It's just spiders and hands, not like overly bloody hands, not like Freddy Krueger hands, just normal skeleton hands. It's spiders and it's hands. In the Hallmark boardroom, they're like, we got to do a haunted house. Whoa there, bucko. It's still Hallmark. No ghosts, goblins, or ghouls, right? Nope. I'm thinking spiders and hands. Spiders and hands. Those two things not moving, I think we can do.
Are you scared?
Nothing else.
Are you scared?
I'm not scared.
What is my hand?
But apparently there are quite a few spiders and hands because Kat and Alice go into the haunted house during the daytime and they come out at nighttime. Maybe that's how you lost the poor kid. You went into the haunted house before dusk and you came out at pitch black night. What were you doing in there?
It's a fun house.
Were you
Mirrors.
Brian Harold and La Bamba? Were you shutting the shades and having yourself a nice moment? What in the world were you doing in there for that long?
Mirrors.
Now that Brian Harold La Bamba joke you will get on Friday.
Oh my gosh.
It hasn't happened yet. But on Friday, if you listen to our episode on Friday, that joke's gonna land.
We planned it in show prep
land. That's
today.
exactly right. Someone's been ripping up the carnival posters in the town. And we think that it's Dell. Dude, you're getting a Dell. And it's not Dell.
Hello?
It's Danny. Danny has been ripping them up. Now, has Danny no, not Jacob. Jake?
I got it, guys.
Yeah.
I got it. Just
Danny has been ripping them up. How do we know he's been ripping them up? Is because we go to Danny's house and the camera pans over to the fireplace where Danny has ripped these posters up and placed them in between logs in the fire and not lit the fire. He hasn't needed one lately. He's like,
the gas hasn't
the middle of summer.
The gas hasn't been turned on for this season. But come November,
I will disperse of these when I feel like it. What we need to know is that they're ripped up and will be burned.
They will be burned.
Which was quite a move there. Like if you're going to hide the evidence, you just burn those right away. I'm pretty sure
that first fire of the season is going to crush.
That's going to crush. That's right. The pitch of the carnival, that why they need to have it is because it keeps tourists in town a little bit longer. And I think what they mean is that it's not, the town is a tourist attraction for longer than the summer. But the way it sounded is like someone planned a week and then they're like, there's a carnival, make it 8 days. make it 8 days.
I'm already here.
I'm already here. Let's make it 8 days, shall we?
I do like
you're not exactly selling it, although it's weird that they canceled a money-making event for a quarter of a century because one kid ran away from it. That seemed to be very, very weird. That's all I got.
It's time for Sink or Swim. Ryan, what are you up to?
Tickles me every week, I gotta tell you. So I have just a quick swim. Dan, I completely agree. I will say though, the shot of Alice and Kat seeing each other in the funhouse, one of the best directed shots. One of the best directed shots in the history of Hallmark. I don't think question.
Off the mirror, that is like unreal good.
Yeah, like legitimately, I'd have to rack my brain, but right up there in the history of Hallmark cinematography for best ever. It was great. With that said, I have a funny sink. I have a not so funny sink.
What about a swing?
Do you have a swing?
It's swing or swim, and these days. But Jacob is mere hours from disappearing, and Elliot and Alice are there, and they're like, we gotta get to the carnival, and Elliot's like, let's get on my bicycle 2 at a time and pedal our hearts out. Like, it just doesn't seem like the most practical way of getting there. It's literally the bike could sink into the ground. It could lose it. It's got a flat tire. But then on the legitimate level, if this was what the Hallmark, it's not. It's sink or swim. But if it was what the Hallmark, I would ask, is it, again, amazing episode, but shouldn't Kat at this point maybe out loud to fellow characters and the audience saying, is it possible Jacob time traveled? We've discovered we can time travel. Is it possible that maybe he did that? That's all I got.
Yeah. My sink, and you talked about him getting on his bicycle to pedal. I just want to say, when somebody that you know time travels looks you dead in the eye and says, "Don't you take your eye off of Jacob." Maybe if the car leaves you,
you don't be like,
just get on the bike yourself and get to the carnival. Yeah. What, like someone looked at you and said, "Don't at the carnival.
Yeah,
don't let him out of your eyes. Just stop. Just do whatever you have to do.
Don't let him out of your eyes, as they say in the old country.
Don't let him out of your eyes.
Don't let him out of your eyes.
Okay, all right. You guys are leaving without me. There's nothing I can do.
I tried my best.
I don't feel like he tried hard enough. She gets there and she's like, Jacob goes missing. He's like, well, why didn't you tell me? I don't know, man. I time travel and I say, don't let him out of your eyes. What more do you need from me?
I thought that was weird. Maybe we changed how we spoke in 2023 when I heard don't let him out of your eyes. So I thought that's something different altogether.
And I just want to, again, if this was what the homework, Dan, we have a pipe dream,
dude, and it goes into my sink or swim.
All right, let's get into it. You get into it. It's just a pipe dream.
The reason that even after told by a time traveler, don't let him out of your eyes, even after told by a time traveler that Elliot wouldn't do that, could be because it's nefarious. It could be because. Now, look, we all know Jacob's alive. It's Hallmark. Jacob either jumped in the pond and went backwards and then couldn't get back somehow, and he's old. He jumped and went forward. He's young. We don't know, but we know he's alive. Dollars to donuts, guy's alive. But also,
how many
if he wasn't, if Elliot was like a bad guy, if Elliot was a secret bad guy, this show would go through the roof.
I'm just saying, dude.
Right?
You are. I'm just saying,
dude. Like if this guy, if the twist is it's been Elliot all along, you confided in one guy about time travel, and he just boom, he's the criminal.
And you might
Holy cow.
And you might be wondering, what could his motive possibly be? Oh, I don't know. Brady showed up out of nowhere, and he's going there. He's watching Kat and Brady, smoochy. He gets a little upset. He says, oh, I'm back at the house. Jacob walks in. Isn't that convenient? Maybe I don't know. I'm not saying. Just saying. If anyone has motive. If anyone has
there's
motive.
One guy that knows everything.
There's one guy.
There's one character that knows everything, has lived
and
everything.
Has motive.
And it's your boy Elliot. And if that is a twist that's coming, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Would that be amazing?
Guy could be the White Witch for all we know.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Boy. Could be why he's hanging around every morning. Free coffee, and he's a psychopath. I love it.
Yo.
Pretty villainous to steal coffee every morning, if you ask me.
That's legit there.
Yeah. It's time for Wrestle Under the Ground.
Hey, what is going on here?
What are you wrestling under the ground this week, buddy?
Well, all of our eyes are on the road to WrestleMania, as they're fixated on it. If you got in a car on the road to WrestleMania, you would take off after it immediately if you were left behind. No, I mean, it's just an exciting time. It's the busiest time of the year for everyone involved. We got
everyone involved.
Oh yeah, WWE, even you two though, perhaps. I mean, like, Bramblefest, WrestleMania, they're the same. Like, you're prepping everything out right now. It's all the same. But no, a lot to look forward to this Friday on SmackDown, coming out of a major Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, everything going on with Sami Zayn. You guys know the huge.
Classic
Road to WrestleMania. Road to WrestleMania. Get on. You take
39 in this case. It's WrestleMania 39. You got to take the WrestleMania number.
Where is WrestleMania this year?
Where the Rams play, Inglewood, California, SoFi Stadium. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a nice.
That's a nice drive across country down there on the old road.
Yeah, road trip to WrestleMania has a nice ring to it.
Long road, and then on the way back, we take the way home.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah,
That's
that was a
nicely
good play-
done.
That was a good play on words. I'm a
Well,
journalist.
thank you for that, buddy. That was worth it as always. As 3X wrestlers, there's something we gotta talk about. We're gonna be back next week with another thrilling, I'm sure, episode of The Way Home and our recap of it. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow with When Calls the Heart, which has another 2 seasons coming up. Not one. They renewed
10
it before
and 11.
they renewed it before this season
Yep.
even started.
One season
They
signed, sealed,
said-
delivered. Get 11 of When Calls the Heart.
Until then, maybe the first to wish you a Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Deck the Hallmarks of Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.